He laid his hands on me. Might have been Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Somebody said it was on a Friday when he laid his hands on me. Amen. I want to thank the men of praise for blessing us this morning, reminding us of the loving touch of God. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who qualify, and amen. It's good. This special day set aside for you, and I hope you made your reservations and all that kind of thing. It's not like Father's Day. You can go anywhere and eat, you know. But on Mother's Day, it's kind of a challenge, and you all are so deserving. Yeah, James Brown said it right. It wouldn't be nothing without a woman or a girl. Amen. Thank God for mothers today. The 124th Psalm. Psalm 124. The English Standard Version translation is the one I selected for this presentation. 8 verses. I'll read the entire psalm. Psalm 124. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, let Israel now say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when people rose up against us, then they would have swallowed us up alive when their anger was kindled against us. Then the flood would have swept us away. The torrent would have gone over us. Then over us would have gone the raging waters. Blessed be the Lord who has not given us as prey to their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we have escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth. Amen. This is my Bible, God's holy word. It is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. The grass withers, the flowers fade, but the word of our God shall stand forever. This is my Bible. This is my weapon, the sword of the Spirit. Amen. God is on our side. God is on our side. A song for the journey. God is on our side. Psalm 124 is known as a psalm of ascent. It is known as a psalm of ascent. That is, it is one of the 15 psalms numbered 120 through 134 that were recited or sung by Jews when walking to Jerusalem to participate in one of the major annual feasts. Each year, Jews would ascend the roads to Jerusalem in the early spring to celebrate the feast of Pentecost, or Passover rather. In the early summer, then they would ascend those same roads to share in the feast of Pentecost. And then in autumn, they would again return to share in the Feast of the Tabernacles. And one of these psalms, Numbers 120 through 134, one of these psalms of ascent would be sung as they approached the city of Jerusalem, having the temple in view. 120th Psalm through 134 were their songs for the journey. Our text is one of these songs for the journey, and it can be sung by any child of God as they make their journey with their sights set upon heaven. Note, if you will, if you look at it, we can divide it into three sections. In verses 1 through 5, those verses acknowledge the favor or the grace that is received by way of a special deliverance. Verses 6 and 7 records for us a grateful act of worship in blessing Jehovah, blessing God. And then the 8th verse, lastly, it's a declaration of confidence in the Lord for all future times. The psalm is short, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song that reminds us of something that we often forget on our journey, and that is that God is on our side. Listen how it begins, reminding us twice that God is on our side. If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel now say, if the Lord had not been on our side. An intentional repetition to serve as a stark reminder of the fact that God is with us. As you all too well know, it's easy to believe God is on our side when things are going well. When we are feeling blessed by God, we acknowledge that he is with us. But this acknowledgement doesn't stop there, because the good news is that God is also on our side when things are not going so well. Now, it's difficult to believe such in those times, but the fact remains that God is a very present help in the times of our trouble. And although he does not act according to our timetable or our desired intervals, nevertheless, he is present and he is with us. And this is important because we don't want a fair weather God. We don't want a God that only shows up when the sun is shining. We don't want a God that's only when the breeze is blowing just right, ever so gently. As a matter of fact, God is most on our side when things are not going well. He is with us in the darkest moments and during the most difficult days of life. God is there. The greatest difficulties in our lives can often be attributed to either people or circumstances. And the psalmist mentions both people and circumstances when he said, if the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel now say again, if the Lord had not been on our side, when enemies rose up against us, then would they have swallowed us up alive in their fierce anger toward us. Then would the waters have overwhelmed us and the torrent gone over us. Then would the raging waters have gone right over us. Sometimes it is people in our lives who rise up as enemies, and we need God's intervention. But there are other times when we are our own worst enemy. And it's in those times as well that we do need God on our side. There are times in our lives when we feel swallowed up by other people or by our own mistakes. Times in our lives when we feel that we are drowning. We're just drowning in sorrow and drowning in sickness and drowning in despair and drowning in debt and domestic turmoil. We are drowning in any number of things. And it is in these times that the psalmist assures us that God is with us, that he is on our side.